Welcome back to our final segment here. There is coffee. I hear some of you are getting quite alert back there. I appreciate that you're gathering a little bit more. With our final topic, we have caring for the caregiver. I will tell you, just again, I am Erin Reoyo, the Family Network Liaison, and we have Marianne Meskis, our Executive Director. I will tell you that this is a topic that I am incredibly passionate about and horrible about implementing. So I have a lot of resources, probably like you do. I feel like I know a lot of the things, but how to implement it, maybe not so much. So this is really, we have just put together some details, but this is really going to be about all of us. So this isn't just us here presenting. This is audience participation, small group participation, and we're all going to share in this and care for ourselves all as one. Most of us can't fathom having the time or the resources to address our own needs. We prioritize our child's complex needs over our own, and we really need to know how we can redefine, reframe, and prioritize self-care in the context of our changing lives. Our ultimate goal is endurance, resilience, and improved quality of life. And with that, we are really looking at how we can reclaim our joy, rebuild our health, rediscover ourselves and what brings us joy, redefine a meaningful life, and find our strength. Does this resonate with anybody? Is it one or two? With our caregiver state of mind, we frequently experience exhaustion, resentment, guilt, regret, anger, impatience, isolation, comparison. What's missing from up there? Shout it out.
Grief.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, no, not, all of them have an underlying connection to grief. And as we all know in this room, grief doesn't necessarily just mean loss from death. We have a lot of grief. And as some of you have written about lately, grief isn't something that happens once and goes away. It can keep coming up, go away for a bit, come up again, and come up again. These are all just different phases and cycles. We do have to acknowledge the stress we live with daily. Patients with Dravet syndrome require constant supervision. They're unable to make safe choices. They have no fear, stranger danger, and they can be intentionally or unintentionally destructive. We are on constant guard. Our constant state of hypervigilance is mentally and physically exhaustion and puts your body in a constant state of fight or flight, which is similar to being in combat, and it has that constant state of adrenaline. It can result in anxiety, panic attacks, illness, headaches, weight gain, memory loss, weight loss, difficulties with concentration. So with that, how are we engaging in activities that can help heal your adrenal system? There are things listed up here. What are some things that you're already putting into practice? I will call on you. I will call you by name. Any kind of movement. And it doesn't, yes, there is the recommended 20 minutes several times a day, but really it is just about getting that heart rate up, even for just a little bit of moment of time. Just a couple of minutes, the movement. What else?
I'll go.
Okay.
So my son is 4, and I feel like the last 6 months I've really started coming back around to do some self-care. But it's a combination of all of these things for me, like embracing therapy, taking my meds the way I'm supposed to, and getting out and being not mom for a little bit and just being Casey has been a game changer for me to remember who you are, not just your roles, responsibilities, whatever, has been very beneficial to me. So.
I'll share an interesting way of something I did last year after a very stressful year. I do talk therapy and all of that, but sometimes that's not enough, especially when you're in rage and you're angry, and that was the phase I was in last year. And my birthday was coming up, and I wanted to get some people together. We felt safer in the pandemic at the time. And there's a place in Pittsburgh called 412 Rage Room. And I highly recommend, if you want to get your heart rate up, you can go by yourself. I went with a group of 8 girlfriends, and we did like a potluck. And then we donned eyeglasses, gloves, and we got sledgehammers, and we got hammers and bats, and we broke the shit out of glass. And it was the best experience ever. And my 7 friends don't have a special needs child, but they all had some rage as well. And it just felt fun to release so much. And I highly recommend, if that's something you'd be interested in, look into a rage room. They're very fun. And they have another type if breaking stuff is not your thing. There's paint options as well. So you can get dressed in all white and throw paint at each other, paint at the wall, and have a fun canvas. So different type of adrenaline rush.
Maybe our social activities for 2024.
One of the best things I did last year was find a physician for myself. We get so used to taking our kids to all of their appointments. And in my case, I found a holistic doctor. I was really feeling the physical impact of living trauma and stress for like years straight, you know? And so it was amazing to me, the testing they can do to see, you know, you're lacking, and some of it is just vitamins and supplements and issues that come because you haven't slept well in 5 years and things like that, but actually getting a breakdown of like, this is what's going on inside your body, and here are the specific supplements that can help heal your adrenal system, help you get better sleep, do these specific things, and that I truly feel like was life-altering for me this year. Yeah.
I want to echo that too, but yeah, instead of drugs, I have like 10 supplements, but that's okay. And I realized I need them. But I just want to say it's taken me, I finally went to counseling, just one-on-one. It's taken me 2 years to get to the point where I realized that I needed to build in supports for like more caregivers, to bring in caregivers. So we've talked a lot about caregivers and respite care, and like it took me 2 years of counseling where I could actually let him go for 4 hours. And I just heard I was supposed to send him into an overnight camp. And that like brought, I'm like, now we're gonna go back and talk about that with my counselor, because it just brings up everything. Oh my gosh, like we're just thinking of, right, okay. So counseling, and then, that was one other thing. Oh, so when I do get the times, now that I've built in the supports and sent him to school and got the caregiver, I use the time without him to be very mindful about what do I need right now. Half the time it's sleep, and then I never get anything else in. But hey, I got a nap. So.
The sleep connection and the physician connection. I wasn't sleeping. I mean, as we don't, whether we were co-sleeping, whether it's because of the seizures. So I scheduled myself a little spa day at the sleep clinic, and it's quite the getaway. And I have sleep apnea, so big self-care now is I have a CPAP, and it's just, I'm not still getting the same amount of sleep that I would like. I'd like a little bit more, but I can at least get a little bit restorative. And that was about me and taking care of myself. Just as we all have, you cannot keep up with the pace of taking care of your child if you're not taking care of yourself. I want to hear more from you. How are you finding your joy? Because we have, there's a hashtag in our community of choose joy, find your joy. What is it that you're doing to choose joy?
Well, I'll just share that my daughter's 17, so I'm a bit further down than not everyone, obviously, but a lot of people. And I can check all of those. And so, but it's taken a long time to get there. And I took up drumming last August, and it was something I did with my non-Dravet daughter, so it's something we share together, and it was not really planned, but it just kind of happened, and I really enjoy it. I find it very therapeutic and something I find a lot of joy in. But when you put that up there, I kind of scanned down, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing all of that. Even the sleep part, because my husband and I started co-sleeping with our daughter, which we had never done before, and it gives us at least one night where there's no alarms and anything going off. But I will say that the reason I can do all of that is because we tag team everything. Right, well, tag team's our motto, and I'm also sensitive to the fact that not everybody has a partner or someone that they can have, and so they're already doing it all on their own. So I am sensitive that not everyone has a spouse. But I realize now that the reason I can do all of that is because I've neglected not myself or my daughter or my other children, but my spouse. And so it's really important that now my focus is actually, while everyone else, you might be thinking, well, how can I do something better for myself? My husband and I have managed to do all of that because we split everything, but we got to remember each other. And so that's kind of been the next project and it has, it's ups and downs like everyone, but it's hard to do all of that and check all the people off in your life. So that's what I would share, that it is hard, even when you can do all of that.
So before my son got diagnosed, I was a art teacher. I taught art to middle and elementary school. So I had to resign when he got diagnosed, and luckily I was able to do that. And then when he started going to school, I found a artist loft literally like a minute up the road from his school. And I went to my husband and I said, can we afford this? And he goes, yep, we're gonna do it. So I opened up a studio and started making my art every day while he was in school. We've since moved, so I've moved my studio to the guest room. And for me, that's my joy. I can go in there while he's at school and not think about anything but my art. So that's been great. And I do want to also say that I'm very grateful and lucky that I have a tag team system too with my husband. I think any mom that's probably here without I'm not saying families don't have this, but obviously our husbands or significant others definitely are supportive that they're able to give us this time alone. So shout out to all of them.
Right along with what you're saying, I look forward to finding a creative outlet for me, and that has come in quilting. I've become a quilter, and so when Brian's at work or his day program, I can spend the day quilting and not have to worry about him or being interrupted. The other thing was, I used to be a big tennis player, but when he got diagnosed, that was put on hold for a long, long time. And about 10 years ago, I started playing tennis again, and it's just opened up doors, and being able to get out there and hit that ball as hard as I want and take out frustrations on that ball is a big thing. Yeah.
Part of my journey for being a special needs mom, I met a woman whose daughter has Down syndrome, and she was one of the first people that I spoke to about the possibility of our son having Dravet syndrome. And she was actually, she owned an exercise studio where I began working out, all at the same time of our newly diagnosed journey. And she said something to me that I have shared with everyone that I meet, including my own personal doctors, and that is self-care is not selfish. When you put that into perspective, I write it on my mirror to remind myself, and I use a Sharpie so that it doesn't come off easily. Self-care is not selfish. And through that motto, I'm able to then realize I'm not getting enough sleep, and it's okay for me to go take a nap. Or it's okay for me to try a new hobby like belly dance, which I picked up the last couple years. Or something else to remind myself that it's okay for me to find my joy, that it's okay for me to put my oxygen mask on first, and that self-care is not selfish.
I think we can all agree that even the word self-care can still give you that response, because maybe in other scenarios, self-care is a trip to the spa, or for families outside of our community, self-care is a bubble bath and this and that. It really is truly taking care of yourself and fulfilling these really basic needs that are vital for continuing to take care of your family. I have tried meditation, and I was going to ask what up here is triggering for you and what's kind of getting in your way of doing something. I mentioned earlier, I am a recovering perfectionist, and meditation, I have tried it. I even took a class, and I can't quite get out of my own head yet. I'm not giving up on it. I just am taking a break, and I need to find a practice that works for me. But I do a lot of affirmations. And so just a simple act of jotting down something and repeating it and saying it and giving that kind of permission to myself to say, like, I am okay. This is okay. I am safe right now. I can move through this challenging time in my life, has been a big thing for me. But meditation is something that I still want to spend more time kind of focusing on it and practicing. Is anyone willing to share something that is hard for them to grasp the concept of, or something that they are intentionally avoiding?
So I totally get the meditation thing. I've tried it, but my head just goes to the what ifs with Isaiah, and I end up being the only person in the room bawling my eyes out. So I get it. That just isn't. I have to have something to focus on. I can't just clear my head. So
I think that means we're supposed to be doing it more.
One of the things, like you were saying, Erin, I am a recovering perfectionist myself, and one thing that I initially struggled with was meditation, but you have different forms of meditation. You have meditation that's just music, and you have guided meditation. So what I did to ease myself into it was slowly 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, guided meditation. And like you said, my mind originally was all over the place. What if this, what if that, what if this, what's gonna happen here? And you know, the way that I worked around that was with time, gradually living in the moment and truly realizing and taking myself forward, and realizing that if I don't put myself first or take care of myself, or if I live in something that hasn't happened yet, it may not happen. So that's what I keep at the forefront of my mind always and constantly. What if it does go right? What if it doesn't occur like we thought it was going to occur? And that was a game changer and a life changer for me.
When we had our Day of Dravet webinar with Eileen Devine, we went through a lot of the self-care practices, and she said, just start today. Whatever you do, just start something today. And I said, great, so I can do that Monday. And because I think that's how we all kind of think. So I want you to take a look at this list or think of something else that comes up, and what's something that you can do today. And at your table or with a partner, I want you to hold yourself a little bit accountable. Is it something of, I can make an affirmation today? I can spend a minute meditating today. I can go to sleep at a particular time today. But think about something that you can do that you can start today. Go ahead and turn and talk. Is there anyone willing to be vulnerable and share something that they're going to start? If you're not starting it today, is there anybody willing to share what they're going to start on Monday?
I'm going to make sure that I drink enough water to keep my body hydrated.
Bravo. What is enough water? I say that seriously because is it the 8 ounces? Is it like half your body weight in ounces? What is the correct amount of water?
It depends on who you ask. The general current rule is 1/2 of your body weight in ounces. For me, my personal goal is 1 gallon a day. That's my goal.
Okay.
But yeah.
Water. Coffee has water in it, right?
Sorry, that's what I was just going to say, the half your body weight in ounces. What was the question you had?
Is what could you start today? When you take a look at this list and thinking about activities, what's something that you could start today to help take as part of self-care, whether it's on that list or not?
Well, one thing I just realized and have started doing is at the end of the day thinking of all the wonderful things I already did do. So I guess it's the monitor your self-talk.
We haven't talked about gratitude and the power of gratitude and journaling, holding a journal in some way. And it really doesn't have to be a big thing, but there's so much, I won't say research because I can't say that for sure, it's been research, but I know there's so much information out there about the power of just writing down daily and practicing an act of gratitude. Whether you do it as a dinner time thing with our kids, we say, tell me something that made you smile today, because that helps them understand the concept of gratitude. I know some families do highs and lows, but it really is trying to find, my kids have a book, we have a book called Tiny Perfect Things. So we talk about, what's a tiny perfect thing that you found today? And and it talks about like bugs. And so maybe it's grateful that we got to go outside and see the bugs today. But it is that act of practicing gratitude that helps drive a lot of that, turning that self-talk into positive self-talk as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of us already made a positive affirmation today thanks to Jenny. So there you go, we did it.
Well done, Jenny, thank you. Anyone else willing to share something that they're ready to start? And please know, we truly don't expect you to have to pour out, and contribute to this. We are trying to make it a little bit lighthearted because everything else that we're doing feels so heavy. Even at these conferences, when we start talking about caring for ourselves, it's not an easy topic because we're not fabulous at it. We know a lot of these tools, but it's actually finding the time and the way to be able to implement them. And really what it should be about is you're allowed to, and you should give yourself permission to start small in any ways. We talk about those micro moments, and it doesn't have to be big. It can be just the tiniest bit of time. managing stress, anxiety, and depression, being able to strengthen yourself with radical self-care. You've got your mental aspects, your physical aspects, and your emotional and spiritual aspects. These are just a couple of suggestions, a couple of tools. One of the ones that I have really started to practice more of, I don't practice it with Marianne though, is saying no. And I do a lot of, okay, yes, I can figure it out. And that is something that drives my husband crazy because I take on more things. And yes, I can do that. And it comes at, I think it's just coming at the sacrifice of myself, and it really has an impact, on our whole family, and being able to have power in no. Also accepting that sometimes people might tell you no, and that's okay, because hopefully that gives you a reflection back of very safe boundaries, but also at least practicing of asking for things. I talked this morning on our Expanding Your Help-based talk, accepting offers of help, and also suggesting specific needs. Knowing those, now that you have the language behind those unarticulated needs, find ways that you can ask people to help. I know that I am guilty of, it's just easier if I do it myself. So make a practice of finding ways that you can give somebody else a job. It will help add to their value as well, that they're helping with something, and it doesn't have to be maybe a major life-changing thing for you, or maybe it is a tiny thing and you realize, I've relinquished this and now I am getting some support with this. Of course, participating in our support groups. I know sometimes we don't have the faces, but seeing your names on your name badges, it's, oh yes, I know exactly who you are. I remember this, and being able to have that connection. Going into the emotional and spiritual, looking at journaling, whether the prayer or meditation, and practicing that mindfulness, the gratitude, the hope, and having, just like we talked about this morning, getting support any way you can from your friends, your partner, your family, and getting out into nature. I don't know how you guys do it here, but make sure you are getting outside every day. For those of us that live in rainier weathers, we still get outside every day. You have to get out. There is science behind getting out, getting fresh air, getting away from your workspace, figuring out how you just step away for a bit and get some time outside. If we're looking at these tools and thinking about what you can start practicing today or Monday, what here resonates with you? Are there any tools that when you did a turn and talk and you said, yes, this is something I'm going to start doing, is there something up here that's going to help you accomplish that?
I think taking the time to study some of these, we get so busy, and I know a lot of you are in the phase of your life when you are busy, but I've read things on mindfulness and meditation. I've become particularly interested in consciousness. What is consciousness? How do our brains work? And I've studied that some. And then it occurred to me what a gift our consciousness is. So if you practice mindfulness, in other words, all this is going on, then you're kind of an outside observer. It makes you be able to set those things aside. And then the gratitude I feel just for my consciousness when I'm riding down the trail and I'm looking at nature, and I think, man, if I wasn't conscious, I wouldn't be able to enjoy all this. So what a gift that is that we have consciousness. Because look at the alternative. You don't get to experience all this. So our lives are really a gift, and consciousness is a big part. Mindfulness is a good tool to make you step back and be grateful for that.
Well, I gave you rage rooms. I'm going to give you the alternative of that, and it kind of goes in with consciousness and mindfulness. And it could be very challenging for those who are struggling with brief moments of that. But there are things called floats. They are tanks that you go and you lay in a bathing suit or naked, whatever your preference is. And the one that I was in is completely dark. And there's music initially, and then the music goes away, and then you're literally floating in this salt tank, and you're with yourself I was in for an hour. And I've done it 3 times now. The first one was really hard at first, and then I fell asleep. And then I kind of woke up, and I thought I was in a dream, and it was very, trippy, but interesting. And it was so nice, though, to have that connection with my body and to be forced to do nothing and not to be contacted. I was in a tank. No one could get me. And, I know my child in that hour could have had a seizure, but she has a father, and he can respond. And he would do similar things as to what I would do, and then I would just meet him wherever he is with her, whatnot. It doesn't have to all lay on our shoulders all the time. And that was really helpful for me. So if anyone's into floats, those are available as well.
Okay, Marianne just said, uh-oh, I don't know what that means. But so I do have really bad eyesight, and I thought the second thing on the left was medication. And I wanted to say,
it should be up there.
I was actually happy to see what I thought was medication, because I think people have a stigma about taking medication for stress, anxiety, and depression. And I think it's okay for us to do so. I am taking depression medication. We all go through dark periods, and it doesn't mean anything. I just need a little help, and I think it's very good for me. And I encourage everyone, and that's why I'm sharing, because I think people think it's not okay and you don't feel like you're strong and in control. But medication actually helps me be in better control. And so just, it's not on there, but it looks like it is.
We will add it under physical, because you're absolutely right. There is value in medication when you are in a position where you have tried other things. I am with you on that, and I apologize for it not being there. Janice, how can I make this up to you? Oh, good, she doesn't have a mic. Oh, next question.
In the way that Erin is a recovering perfectionist, I am a recovering yes person. So another one of my favorite mantras is no is a complete sentence. I don't have to justify why I say no. I don't have to explain to anybody why I say no. No is a complete sentence. And that's something that I am trying to enact. And that was something that came from my pastor that said, you say yes a lot. Oh, I got called on the carpet. No is a complete sentence. So that's one of my goals to help myself moving forward.
I would say a big one, in addition to saying no, that goes hand in hand, is boundary setting the stage for boundary setting. And that looks different for many of us. If you can't get to someone or a concern, it's okay to say, hey, do it in a positive way. I want to be able to give you my time right now, but I'm not fully here. And in order for me to do that, I need a moment for myself, whatever that may look like. One thing I wanted to share is I kept stepping out. You guys may have noticed that. My daughter's in Michigan, and she's actively having a seizure. We're on minute 4. And you know what? I can't say this. I'm at peace. I'm very calm. I'm here. I have a plan. talked to me a few years ago, and I have two of them, as you guys know. They're 6 and 7. They both have this condition. Talked to me a couple of years ago. I probably would have ran out of here, got on the next flight, not caring who and what and why and what I was doing. When you're so at peace with your decision and you know you're doing the best that you can, honestly, you become mentally and physically unstoppable, and they go hand in hand.
You mentioned, and when you're doing the best you can. And I think that when it comes to our children and our families and our home, most of the time we can say we're doing the absolute best that we can, but I know for certain that I am not doing the best that I can when taking care of myself. And so I think that that's why it's just so important that even if this is a topic we talk about a lot, in our support group, I try to do the Tuesday Use Days, and so where you can just focus on you for a moment, whether it is just a quote that resonated with me, maybe it resonates with you, whether it's talking about, another thing that we don't have up here is just music. So perhaps that goes along with movement, or maybe it goes along with the emotions. Maybe you need to play a song because you just need to cry it out and feel some emotions. Maybe you need music to do that movement. But it is, I can safely say that I do not feel that I'm doing the best that I can. So that's what I want to start today, is just accepting I am doing the best, just accepting I can start this and that is the best that I can do for today, but actually do something about it.
So what I wanted to mention was something that I do when I remember to, is like I borrow an audiobook from the library, or I download some music I want to listen to. And I know you're probably supposed to do self-care when you're not doing other things, but I'll plug one earbud in while I'm making dinner, while I'm cleaning my house, because I know we all have one ear on our kids while we're doing other things. But just having music or a good audiobook or a podcast like my husband does when he's getting ready in the morning, really helps me to just have a little bit of time to myself. And the other thing I've started doing recently is saying no to my Dravet kiddo when he asks me to do something with him. Like if I just finished folding the laundry and I really just need 5 minutes to sit on the couch next to him and not do anything, I've learned to say, no, we can do a puzzle when I'm ready, not feeling like I have to say yes right away, which is really, really hard. But I know I will play with him in 5 or 10 minutes, and he knows that I will come through, so I feel comfortable saying no. And I think learning to say no, even to our Dravet kiddos when we can, is like a huge part of self-care too.
Just one quick comment. I feel like maybe single parents haven't been very represented here. It's very nice to know that there are so many teams out there, and some of us just don't have anybody else. And so self-care is extremely difficult when it's just you. And I have found it's taken me a long time to get here. My daughter's 11. So when she's at school for the 4.5 hours she's there, usually it's, planning for everything, dinner, cleaning, laundry, et cetera, et cetera. But I have started to find some time, thank you to my Apple Watch. Honestly, this is what started my self-care, is because it keeps me motivated to get steps, burn calories, drink my water, and it's kind of like a slow progression. Like you start one thing and then you're like, oh, well, now I can drink some water. Oh, well, now I can put on some music and dance and burn some calories while I'm making dinner and stuff like that. So it's the little things that you can squeeze in there to make your body feel better, and eventually, like it all kind of helps your mind, your thinking, your sleep. It all kind of plays a part. So that's my little 2 cents on.
Thank you for sharing that perspective, because I know that it's not easy. And so, we need you to speak up more too, so that if there are ways that there's community support in any way, that, we can all be there for each other also.
My husband just passed away in October of ALS. So for the past 2.5 years, I've been a full-time double caregiver and put my life on hold. Well, just before he passed away, no, after he passed away, I decided that this was going to be the year for me. I didn't have to do everything for Brian. Even if he wanted to do it because he wants to be active, if I didn't feel like staying up till 11 o'clock at night to pick him up from a baseball game, I wasn't going to do it. And the other thing I've done is get a massage twice a month and get myself a pedicure and a manicure at least once a month. And those are down times for me, and that makes me feel good and pretty and better.
I truly appreciate all of you sharing your personal tips, and everyone who used their voice, just know that you have gone on to help at least one other person here today. Give yourself credit for doing the best you can in one of the toughest jobs there is. We'll leave you with this quote by Eleanor Brown: "Rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve others from the overflow. You cannot serve from an empty vessel." We hope you have enjoyed's not the right word. Enjoyed your sessions today, been present for your sessions today. I will let you leave us with any final thoughts in getting prepared for the rest of the evening.
A big thank you to everyone. This has been amazing to be back in person, and we just appreciate your dedication and your engagement. It really makes our community stronger. We're excited to celebrate with you this evening. We will have Kira's Spirit of Hope Award tonight at dinner, and a carnival set up for the kids. So we'll have that down on the lower level in Rio Grande, which was the room they've been using for the sibling camp up until this point. And that will start at 6:30, and we can't wait to see you there. Okay.